In OpenPoint, plant changes should be made through a job using the layout functionality. When you do your changes through a job, then the system will automatically update your CPR accordingly. Sometimes we need to do plant changes that are done outside of the CPR, and we will do the plant modifications for the CPR ourselves later. In order to do plant changes directly and not modify the CPR automatically, we're going to go to the In-Plant tab in the Construction Units panel. Notice we have this wire selected and we see that it has one existing plant record already. The New Plant button is disabled though, and if we click on our plant record, we don't have a Save button. In fact, we're unable to type in the text box for this plant record entirely. By default, the Plant section of your Construction Units panel will be disabled to protect you from accidental edits that are done outside of the CPR. In order to enable editing for plant outside of the CPR, we need to click on this lock icon in the upper right-hand corner of the In-Plant tab. Notice that when I hover over this button, it says Allow editing plants without updating the CPR. If I click on the lock, it will be open and red, indicating that we are editing plant directly. Now the New Plant button is enabled, and if we click on our existing plant record, we have a Save button and some other editing options in this drop-down. We're going to go ahead and add a new plant record because we need to add duct to this wire. I'm going to search for my plant construction unit by typing in the code for our unit. I could also search by category or description. When I double click on my option, then most of the attributes are already filled in for me. Notice that the station has been figured out because the feature record itself already had the station and the station 2. It also had the CPR district and its own length. The linear sag came from the construction unit itself as the default value. The only thing we need to change in this case is the CPR year, since how this was installed in 2008 and not 2018, which is the default current year. We're going to go ahead and make that change and then click the Save button. When we do that, notice that the CPR year is updated in the grid as well, and when we click on the record, we can verify that indeed the change was made and our record is still there. Note that at this time, the plant change is not fully committed to our database. In fact, if this application clashed at this moment, we would not have that change nor any other change that hasn't been fully committed to the database. In order to fully commit these changes, we have to click the Save button. The Save button for our edits is located in the OpenPoint tab in the Manage Edits section. Notice that it's enabled here. We could also discard our edits, which would undo the creation of our plant record. The Save button is also located on the Edit tab, and it may also be located in your quick toolbar. Next, we're going to show what happens when we make a change and we forget to save. Say we changed our linear sag, and then we immediately go and select another feature without saving. Notice that when we go back to the record, our linear sag change was actually committed. The system tries to save this change for us. If we don't want a change to save, then we need to click the X button. For example, if I change the linear sag again and click the X button, this time our change was not saved. Another case where our changes will not be fully saved is if our data does not pass validation. For example, if we change the sag to some valid value like 110, but we changed the CPR year to something invalid like empty, and then we click the Save button, the save won't work. But if we try to select another feature to force the automatic saving, then the system will do a partial save of that record. And when we select it again, notice that the linear sag change was made, but the CPR year was not blanked out because it didn't pass validation.